And here's the best part. Get your first application absolutely free. Call Custom Lawn today or visit CustomLawn.com to claim your free application and get started. Custom Lawn and Landscape, because beautiful lawns don't happen by accident.
1 minute, gentlemen, 1 minute.
And other pests are soon to follow. Plan now to keep bugs out of your home or business with Augustine Exterminators. Now's the time to establish and or maintain a barrier from pests. Augustine also provides carpet, rug, tile, and air duct cleaning. Enjoy your backyard this summer by keeping mosquitoes away. For an average size home, Augustine Mosquitoes Control Service is only $85 a month. Call Augustine Exterminators today at 913-359-8627 or go online to AugustineExterminators.com.
Here's the best kept secret in Kansas City. KCI Car Care Center, the Phillips 66 station inside the airport. Tired of riding the shuttle buses when you fly? Let KCI Car Care pamper you and your car. They offer valet parking and vehicle service while traveling out of town, which is both helpful and convenient. They drive you to your terminal, drop you off curbside in your own vehicle, and pick you up curbside when you return. To find out more, call 816-243-5880. That's 816-243-5880. KCI Car Care Center, the only way to fly.
KCFX HD4 Harrisonville, K279PI Kansas City, 103.7 FM. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the number one motorsports show for over 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod-In Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod-In Supply, featuring the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Got a good show lined up for you today. Steve Post is going to join us. Chase Rodman as well. Kirk, how you doing?
And Wyatt Burks is going to join us live this morning.
Wyatt Burks.
He is the 2024 Midwest Wingless Racing Association non-wing sprint car champion. That organization merged with the Power Eye War Series for the 2025 schedule, and tonight they're going to be at Valley Speedway with the opening round, and Wyatt Burks is going to be there. So we're going to have Wyatt on a little bit later on this hour to talk to us about the races at Valley Speedway tonight. I'm heading out there tonight. You thinking about heading out, see some non-wing racing tonight?
I am.
Yeah. So we're going to be out at Valley Speedway tonight, and Wyatt Burks will join us live here later in the hour. Boy, we had a lot of racing last night, Scott.
We did.
You went out to Lakeside.
I went out to Lakeside Speedway. The best race of the night was between Caitlin Whittegall and Chris DeLong.
Chris Deschamps.
Deshawn.
So, right down to the wire, huh? I didn't see it.
You didn't watch that race?
I didn't watch it. You saw it. Tell me what happened.
He won by a half a car length.
Wow.
That was the best race of the night.
That's terrific action. So, how many cars he end up out there last night on opening
62
night?
cars.
Combined in, what did they got, four divisions?
Right.
Now, they don't run A-mods at Lakeside anymore. They didn't last year. But the B-mod class is the
Tim Carrick won in the B-mod.
Right. So, when he started on the pole last night, Tim Carrick?
He did.
And they had some modified racing down at...
he beat Chad Clancy.
Was Kerry Davis there last night?
Kerry Davis ended up running fourth.
So he and Carrick will be racing on a weekly basis.
Kerry Davis has got a new car.
He does?
Yep.
Is it a different kind of car than what he's had in the past, or the same type of car?
I'm not sure what kind of car he's got.
Yeah.
Yep.
So congratulations to Tim Carrick and the stock car winner, Jalen Weddingle. Who were the other winners? Chase Galvin in Pure Stocks and Corey Myers in E-Mod. So Lakeside Speedway off and running. We're just about a month away from the high limit race out there. It'll be leading into the NASCAR Cup weekend, so can't wait for that.
Let me tell you something about Terry Bivens. He won his heat race.
Terry Bivens is back racing again.
Yep.
Wow. I thought he finally retired.
No, I believe that he's running. He's running the pure stock division, and he won his heat race.
And here's a guy that is a legendary driver, a Hall of Famer, raced some of the best race cars in his day, and now he's racing a pure stock.
I think.
How old is Terry Bivens now?
I think he's 80 years old.
Oh my God! Out there still doing it.
Right.
Is Gene Claxton still running?
He's still running out there.
So was he in the B mod class last night, or what? What was Gene Claxton racing? You say Gene was racing last night?
He was. He ended up running 10th last night in the USAR stock car
class.
Yep.
And he's a guy that also ran the premier divisions back in the day, and now he's running the stock car class. Number 42, of course, right?
Right.
Yeah. So glad to see Lakeside off and running in 2025. I was watching the World of Outlaws last night at Peebly, Federated I-55 Speedway, and what a show that was. You know, I used to say back 30 years ago that wing sprint car racing was built at I-55 Speedway because that track is perfect for wing sprint cars. And then I kind of got away from that over the last several years because I-55 Speedway kind of got out of shape, and it was out of configuration of what we used to remember I-55 Speedway being. But I tuned in last night, and Scott, they worked on that racetrack because it's under new ownership.
Right.
A guy by the name of Josh Carroll has purchased the Federated I-55 Speedway from Ray Mahler and Ken Schrader. Those two guys owned the racetrack for 29 years. They sold the track. That announcement was made in the middle of December. And Josh Carroll is a track guru. He likes working on racetracks. And his philosophy is the better the racetrack you have, the better racing surface you have, means better races and more people in the grandstands. I subscribe to that philosophy, by the way. And last night, he put his money where he's, he went to work on that racetrack. They reconfigured the racetrack back to the way I remember it used to be. And it was top dominant. Those guys were riding the high side last night, but they were pulling off slide jobs after slide job last night. And it was a great show. And if this is a preview of what we're going to get the rest of the season, the Ironman coming up in July, wow. And what's to come tonight? That was a great show last night. Carson Macedo won the race. I'm thinking that maybe Logan Schuart maybe had the fastest race car. But Carson Macedo made a move on him for the lead.
How did David
early.
Gravel do?
He finished in third. His 20th straight top 5 finish in the World of Outlaws dating back to last year. He's finished in the top 5 in all 14 races this year and 6 at the tail end of the 2024 season. So David Gravel has posted 20 straight top 5 finishes.
Sheldon Hodshield ended up running 4th, and Bill Baylog ended up running 5th.
Now Baylog, he's not a very popular guy around Wayne Johnson and Cole Macedo this morning.
Why is that?
Let's put it that way. Well, Cole Macedo and Bill Baylog were fighting it out for position last night, and
I didn't get to watch any of these races last night because I was at Lakeside.
And let's just say that Baylog got into Cole Macedo and turned him around, and Cole not very happy about that. Cole, I think, would have come up with a top 5 finish. He was running that well last night in that number 2C car. I think he would have gone top 5 had that not happened last night. But he and Bill Balog were fighting it out last night, and around goes Cole Macedo. And you know Wayne Johnson?
Right.
I mean, we saw Cole Macedo's reaction to it after he went up on the yellow flag lap and let Bill Balog know he didn't appreciate it.
He did?
And what do you think Wayne
Did
Johnson...
he punch him?
No, he was moved up alongside him and, said, hey, what are you doing here? And
Right.
then he pulled back. But what do you think Wayne Johnson was doing at that time?
I don't think Wayne was too happy.
He's probably not too happy about it.
Right.
But very impressive run for Cole Macedo nonetheless, even though he didn't end up where they wanted to last night. But I am jacked up to see what happens there tonight because there was action all over that racetrack.
Aaron Reitzel was running up towards the front of that race in the beginning of that race, Kirk. Tell me what happened to Aaron Reitzel.
Well, he ended up in 12th place last night. He started 10th, ended up in 12th. And I just think it was just a product of the competition you're racing against. It's pretty tough to move your way up through the field. Now, Garrett Williamson was the biggest mover of the night. He started 21st and ended up 8th. So very impressive run for Garrett Williamson in that 23 car.
Garrett is an outstanding driver.
Yeah.
I think so.
And he's going for Rookie of the Year in the World of Outlaws, full-timer. So, look at some of the guys. They had 62 cars there last night, and there was a lot of good race cars that didn't make the show. You look down at the Last Chance Showdown. You had Williamson win that race. He had to come out of the Last Chance Showdown to finish in 8th place. Parker Price Miller made the show. Justin Peck and Corey Eliason, but Emerson Axum, Ryan Timms, Joe B. Miller, Brian Brown, all did not make the show. Brady Bacon did not make the show last night. And Sammy Swindell was there.
Garrett had to come out of the B main, didn't he?
Yeah, he won the B main.
Last Chance Showdown.
Right. So 21st to 8th. But a lot of good race cars didn't make the show last night. So that's how tough
Were you
that deal
surprised
was.
that Rico didn't make it?
Yeah. I'm thinking, we had Chase Rodman on last week. I asked Chase about Rico as he fully healed up from that hand injury. He thought he had, but Rico's struggling just a little bit to kind of get his footing here this year so far.
Right.
So we'll see how it goes. I suspect that Rico will get it together, and over the next few months he'll get his footing. But right now he's struggling just a little bit. But a great show last night of Wing Sprint Car Racing at I-55 Speedway. Looking forward to see what happens tonight. Had some pretty good late model action around the country last night.
You're going to go to Valley Speedway tonight.
I'm going to go, watch the non-wing sprint cars at Valley Speedway tonight. So that's where I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, there was non-wing sprint cars at Lincoln Park Speedway in Putnamville, Indiana last night. It's kind of weird not seeing Brady Bacon in the show last night. He's running more full-time wing 410 sprint car schedule this year, but it was kind of weird not seeing Brady Bacon in the show at Putnamville last night. But a big dominating win for Kyle Cummins as he wins at Lincoln Park Speedway last night over Justin Grant. And so they're going to be at Lawrenceburg
Logan
tonight.
Seavey was 3rd. Jake Swanson was 4th. And Cale Drake was 5th.
That's it.
Yep.
I expected, Logan Seavey started up front. I expect him to run away and hide, but he just did. He didn't have what you'd expect out of that 57 Abacus car last night. So I think they still got a little bit of work to do to get that 57 car running the way they want to. I expect a little bit more. T-Mez, Thomas Meserole started on the pole of the midget race at Farmer City last night. That's the other open wheel race I want to talk about. But he faded But it was Jacob Denny who comes through with the feature victory at Farmer City last night. They had 27 midgets last night. Probably the biggest moment of the night has to be the dust-up between teammates last night. I think that you're going to get this when you got as many Keith Coons cars that are out on the track at the same time. Well, Gavin Miller chopped off Cannon McIntosh and took him out. What do you think the conversation going on in the Keith Coons pits was after that?
Not very good.
Cannon probably not very happy with his teammate last night, Gavin Miller. And it ended up Ethan Mitchell on his lid. So, dust up among teammates last night. I thought maybe Zach Dahm was going to come through. It looked like he may have had a run on Jacob Denny last night, but pretty impressive run by Denny in that 67 car. He's full-time now with Keith Coons Motorsports, but Carter Sarf comes through in third place in the midget race at Farmer City last night. Late models, Ethan Dotson wins his first World of Outlaw late model feature of his career last night, holding off Ricky Thornton Jr. for the victory. Pretty impressive run by Ethan Dotson, driving a John Henderson car with R.C. Whitwell as the crew chief. And he's come close a couple of times this year, Ethan Dotson. He came up through the modified ranks, much like Ricky Thornton Jr. did. And so pretty impressive run by Ethan Dotson, holding off RTJ at Farmer City.
Are they going to run the late models down there again tonight?
At Farmer City they are. The Illini 100. Yeah, big show tonight. They're going to do it again at Farmer City. They had open late models at Lucas Oil Speedway last night. Of course, the MLRA doesn't exist anymore, Scott. No more MLRA, but they put out a big purse this weekend to run a non-sanctioned late model event, and Lucas Oil Speedway was the site of that, and Hudson O'Neill comes through with the feature victory at Lucas Oil Speedway. They're going to put out a pretty good bunch of money tonight down there. I thought maybe Jonathan Davenport would have been the guy to beat last night, but Hudson O'Neill in the 71 car, his second career win at Lucas Oil Speedway. Remember, he won the Show Me 100 there a few years ago.
Right.
Heartland Modified Tour in action this weekend, Scott. Electric City Speedway, Butler, Missouri last night. Shadron Turner comes through with the feature victory. I'm very impressed with the car counts that Trenton Berry and Eric Chesterman are getting for the Heartland Modified Tour. They had 30 A-mods last night at Electric City Speedway. And Shadron Turner comes through with a big win. They're going to be at I-35 Speedway tonight. So that's a pretty good first couple of years by the Heartland Modified Tour that those guys have put together. Very, very impressed with the number of cars they're getting for that series.
Chandler Smith ended up winning the truck race, Kirk.
He did. Surprise, surprise. I think everybody thought Kyle Larson would be the guy. Not so fast. Kyle going for the triple again this weekend. It won't happen this weekend because he already lost the first race. He'll be in the Xfinity race today and the Cup Series tomorrow, but pretty impressive win for Chandler Smith. Kyle made some mistakes last night. He sped on pit road, and he had to work his way up from the back. Just didn't get there in time. Chandler Smith, the winner.
Were you surprised by that, Kirk?
Yeah, I was. I kind of thought going in that
Kyle Larson was going to win that race.
The guy, but I was watching Corey Day. He was in the field last night. He had one time. He was the biggest mover in the race early on when it first started.
He ended up running 15th.
Yeah, he was passing all kinds of. I mean, he started way back in that race, and
started 27th.
He had got himself up to about 11th, and I think he was even cracked the top 10 there once or twice, but he ended up in 15th. But he was passing a lot of trucks last night. He's learning how to do this pavement stuff, but I think he's going to get there. I think he's going to figure it out. Don't you?
I do. I think Chandler Smith is going to be a star someday.
Well, he already is, isn't he? He raced in the Xfinity Series last year. He's full-time in the Truck Series this year. So Corey Heim, to me, is the big star of the Truck Series, but he fell short last night.
Hudson O'Neal tops the annual spring race. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, they had pretty good field of cars. You know, I was wondering just how many cars were going to show up at Lucas Oil Speedway with it being a non-sanctioned event, and it turns out they ended up with 36 race cars last night, something like that. So I thought they ended up with a pretty good group of cars down there last night. Hudson O'Neal and Jonathan Davenport were the two top qualifiers in the two separate sessions that they had for time trials last night. So both those guys got good starting positions last night. Davenport started on the pole, Hudson O'Neal on the outside of the front row. And so you had to figure going into that race, those two guys were going to probably dominate. But Brandon Overton was in the field last night. He came from 5th to 3rd. Mike Marlar was there last night. He came from 6th to 4th. And Mason Oberkramer rounded out the top 5.
All right, we're going to take a break. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Are we going to go with Steve Post first?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Steve Post joins us next right here on Mostly Motorsports or Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Steve Post joins us next right here on Track Talk.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
3:30.
Offers it's home to one of the best dining experiences in town. From chef-inspired dishes to handcrafted cocktails, our restaurant offers fresh flavors, friendly service, and stunning golf course views. Now, whether it's a casual lunch, date night, or drinks on our new outdoor patio, come on out for the food and stay for the experience. Creekmore Golf Course. Great golf, even better dining. Online at creekmorepoa.com. The Golf Club at Creekmore. Your only short drive of the day will be getting there.
The wait is over. Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia has expanded to serve you better. Come experience the all-new showroom and service department just off I-35 in Santa Fe. Check out the latest lineup of Kia, including the spacious new Sorento, the rugged Telluride, and the first-ever K4, each backed by Kia's industry-leading warranty. Visit OlatheKia.com or stop by today. Olathe Kia, expanding for you. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Ring the bell! We've done it again! Golden Oak Lending has lowered rates to 4.875 fixed. Lower your monthly payment, get cash out, pay off credit cards, and best of all, make no mortgage payments for 2 months. Lock in this incredible 4.875 rate and get your cash in as little as 14 days. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending, cured my blues.
5.81 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Tax refund season means ride season, and now's the time to make it happen at Reno's Power Sports KC. Hit the trail with a new ATV or UTV, cruise the streets on a motorcycle or scooter, or make waves with a Sea-Doo, Wave Runner, or brand new pontoon. Your refund goes further here with Top Brands expert service and financing options to fit any budget. Don't wait. Now is the time, and this is the place. Reno's Power Sports KC, where adventure begins. Visit us today or online at renoskc.com.
Steven St. John here. Is your lawn ready to be the envy of the neighborhood? Custom Lawn and Landscape makes achieving a green, weed-free lawn easy with their expert 7-step fertilization and weed control program. With over 40 years of experience serving Johnson County, they're excited to now be serving Lawrence and all of Kansas City as well. And here's the best part. Get your first application absolutely free. Call Custom Lawn today or visit CustomLawn.com to claim your free application and get started. Custom Lawn and Landscape, because beautiful lawns don't happen by accident.
Warm weather is just around the corner, which means insects and other pests are soon to follow. Plan now to keep bugs out of your home or business with Augustine Exterminators. Now's the time to establish and or maintain a barrier from pests. Augustine also provides carpet, rug, tile, and air duct cleaning. Enjoy your backyard this summer by keeping mosquitoes away. For an average size home, Augustine Mosquitoes Control Service is only $85 a month. Call Augustine Exterminators today at 913-359-8627 or go online to AugustineExterminators.com.
Jeff Montgomery here. Spring is finally here and it's time to get out.
1 minute.
Sunshine. But if you're a man dealing with frequent urination, waking up at night to use the bathroom, or a weak urine stream, don't let it slow you down. Do what I did and call Miva Medical. Their cutting-edge, non-surgical procedure eliminated my symptoms, and Dr. Brown is professional, knowledgeable, and put all of my worries at ease. As Kansas City's leaders in minimally invasive treatments, I trust Miva Medical to help me. Visit miva-medical.com. That's MIVA-medical.com.
Here's the best kept secret in Kansas City. KCI Car Care Center, the Phillips 66 station inside the airport. Tired of riding the shuttle buses when you fly? Let KCI Car Care pamper you and your car. They offer valet parking and vehicle service while traveling out of town, which is both helpful and convenient. They drive you to your terminal, drop you off curbside in your own vehicle, and pick you up curbside when you return. To find out more, call 816-243-5880. That's 816-243-5880. KCI Car Care Center, the only way to fly.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints.
Hey, I was going to mention, I got to make a correction, Scott. They had 43 late models at Lucas Oil Speedway last night, more than I said before. And tonight they're going to pay $20,000 to win. So that's going to attract a lot of good race cars, isn't it?
It is.
Need a bigger crowd down there, though, than what they had last night. You got to show up tonight, folks. That's big late model show down there. Some pretty good stars on hand.
All right.
Check it out.
We're going to talk to Steve Post. This interview is about 9 minutes long. Todd?
Yes, sir.
The Postman is he is the pit reporter for Motor Racing Network. He was standing down there on pit road at Darlington last weekend when Denny Hamlin came out first, wasn't he?
Right.
But he's also big into sprint car racing too. So
he is.
We talk plenty of sprint car racing.
Yeah,
with
we talked
Postman
quite a while
Monday.
with Steve Post.
Yeah.
So if you want to go back and listen to that episode of Mostly Motorsports, episode 355, and quite a bit more of that interview.
We're gonna play a second part of that interview as well, aren't we, Kurt?
Yeah, hour 2. So
or Todd.
Yes, sir. Hour 2. So
well, let's get into it. Here's the Postman from earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports. I was out driving around. I was listening to the race on the radio yesterday, and you made the call of the race on the pit stops there at the end of the race when you said Denny Hamlin is out in front. And I was thinking at that time, okay, I think we know who's going to win this race now.
Yeah, boy, you get that track position at the end of the day, and especially with a veteran like Denny Hamlin, and he's probably going to take it to the house. And I love that. I love that, Kirk. The final call, you know, it's the money stop, and you're down there just waiting on it, and then to be able to have that call, and you know, William had the first pit box. Denny was about fourth. And William, they dropped the jack, but you could see the momentum that Denny had, and he just shot right by him there. And it was fun. I love what I do there on pit road, and boy, when you have a moment like that, it's always fun. And then you're right, boy. Once you put Denny Hamlin out in front, he's tough to handle. That's for sure.
Hey, Kyle Larson didn't have a good day, did he?
Oh my God, man! It started off bad. You know, I was thinking, I kind of snickered to myself, not snickering at Kyle's misfortune. I mean, it just went wrong early, and then they worked on the car for like 170 laps. You know, and then went back out on the racetrack. And the car was fine and that sort of thing. And then with just a few laps to go, he got spun out. And it's just like, man, I waited 160 laps in the pits for this. You know, I mean, it's just there are days. You know, we all have them, good days and bad days. Kyle just had his yesterday at Darlington, and it was a rough day at the office. That's for sure.
Hey, do you think that Ty Gibbs is going to win a race this year?
If you'd asked me this 2 weeks ago, I'd have said no. Now I'm in the maybe category, and I actually talked. It's funny you ask about Ty. I actually talked to Tyler Allen, his crew chief, yesterday morning or Saturday morning there, and Tyler's a guy I know but didn't get a chance to talk to much, and he's really starting to feel optimistic about it. They're really getting on the same page here, and so much that happens at Joe Gibbs Racing is right now geared to trying to get that 54 car back to the front. They just added a longtime car chief that's been one of the best in the business, Cheddar Smith. They just added him, and they're working on that. And so I want to see a few more weeks. He got his first top 10 finish yesterday, finished 9th. I want to see a few more weeks, but he's gone from no to he might be able to do it. I think he's talented. Obviously, Joe Gibbs Racing puts good race cars out. It's just a matter of do they, for lack of a better term, do they get their poop in a pile, if you will, and get that car at the front at the end of the day when it's needed the most.
Denny Hamlin is 49 points behind. Do you think he can catch William Byron?
Well, it doesn't matter.
I don't know, William. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of Scott. I love the question because and Kirk, you are 100% right. It doesn't matter with playoff points and everything else, but I love the battle for the regular season championship because it gives us a reflection of who's doing well week in and week out. We know Denny has 2 wins. We know Christopher has 3 wins. We know William has a pair of wins. We all know that, but that season-long point thing really tells who's doing good. And the question, can Denny reel in 49 points from Christopher or from William? That just shows how good William Byron has been. William Byron has just been so rock solid, consistent, you know. And look, yesterday he had the dominant performance. We don't have that green flag pitch cycle. I don't know that anyone even sees him the rest of the day, but we did. And so he had a bad day and he finished second. You know, I mean, when your bad days are finishing second and third, William's going to be – Denny might be able to get there, but he's going to probably have his tongue hanging out by the time he does, the way William races.
Hey, Christopher Bell has been really consistent this year, hasn't he?
My God, Christopher Bell is just – I have Christopher Bell, Scott. I have Christopher Bell as a multi-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. I just do. I think I think his crew chief, Adam Stevens, I think Joe Gibbs Racing, I think everything is there. And what I'm seeing out of Christopher Bell right now is if you're going to be a multiple champion, and I believe he will, you got to win that first one. And I just feel like this is a team that is really poised to make a run deep into the playoffs. Championships are interesting in NASCAR because it's a one race, one day battle for the championship. I firmly believe Christopher Bell will be in Phoenix running for the championship, and I just have a hunch that we're getting closer and closer to him getting it done, and it might just be this year. He is just such a genuine rock star, and you know, I mean, you guys know me. I'm a sprint car guy. This weekend, his tribute was to the great Rick Ferkel, the Ohio Traveler, and I talked to Christopher about it, and just so sincere, so genuine, and I just I kind of find myself anyone that throws back to a sprint car paint scheme's kind of got my vote, and I think Christopher's championship, his first one, is sooner rather than later, and could very well be this year. He is really knocking it out.
Hey, Anthony Macri got into it with the 55 car at
Lincoln.
At Lincoln this weekend. What did you think about that?
Anthony, Anthony's a hard charger, and yeah, it's really funny. The way guys race, I love watching Anthony Macri race. I'm not sure I'd want to race against Anthony Macri.
Right.
I didn't say I wanted to race against Anthony Macri. I said Steve Post sitting his fat ass in the stands would loves watching Anthony Macri, and I think that's what happens when we get a couple of hard-nosed racers out there, and they here's the reality of it. Here's the beauty of it. We have a weekend where the high limit gets rained out. We have a weekend where the World of Outlaws get rained out. They haven't struggled to get racing in Pennsylvania, but the one they get in, they get everybody talking. It is quintessential Pennsylvania that, on a weekend where everyone is down in the dumps, we're still talking about Pennsylvania sprint car racing, and such is the case with that dust-up they had there.
Yeah, thanks to some guy in the stands that shot video of that thing. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to see it. But what a rough ride of Dallas shot. Took a pretty rough tumble on the back straightaway there. And it wasn't – he just got a little bit sideways, and Macri was there. You can't really blame Anthony either, I don't think. But.
Anthony's so fast. When you have that differential of speed, it's easy for us to watch replays. And why didn't he do this? And this is all racing. This is not wing sprint car racing. This is everything. But, man, I'll tell you what, things happen so fast. And then when you have that differential in speed, we've had moments in the sport where it's like, okay, that's a little too long. But, that was a bang move is what it was. And unfortunately, it ended the way it did. But, it just was awful quick happening. Things happen fast in a 410 sprint car.
All right, the big story in sprint car racing this past week is the retirement of Jacob Allen. He's decided to step out of the seat at 30 years of age. Are you surprised by that? We're not.
Nothing surprises me with Jacob. He has come into this sport, and he has marched to the beat of a different drummer the whole time. Remember a couple of years ago, I'll go back even further than that. Remember when he sat out at Bristol just saying, it's too fast. Now that's not something you see in many sprint car drivers. And then when he took the leave of absence a couple years ago for his mental health, that's not something you see in many sprint car drivers. And so Jacob is, Jacob's a passionate guy about sprint car racing, but you throw a wife and a kid in there, and you have these concerns about your health. And are you a good sprint car driver then? I don't know if this is related, but he had a pretty nasty tumble at Lincoln earlier this year. And when you start having kids, things change. And you just I was surprised when I read it, but then when you think about it, nothing really surprises me because Jacob's his own young man, and he'll do what he thinks is best. And follows his heart, and I'm anxious to see how it all goes with the sprint car racing, and then obviously Jacob with his young family. Good that he's put them at the center of it, but it's something we don't see often in motorsports, and so it surprised me on that front. But then when you think about it with Jacob, I'm not sure anything really surprises me when it comes to him and unique, quirky moves that get made.
And it was announced officially that Cale Thomas will be the new driver of the 1A car this year. Some people thought they would be at Peabody last night with that 1A car, but they were not there. But
why weren't they?
I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to get everything together for Cale and get ready to go. They still got a pretty aggressive schedule for the season coming up. But Cale Thomas is going to be the driver. A lot of people thought maybe Zed Wise would be the driver of that car because he's still looking for a ride right now. So Cale Thomas will be the new driver of the 1A, and good for Jacob Allen. He's a good guy, and here's a guy that knows, hey,
he's got a couple kids.
Yeah, my mind is not in the place it needs to be as a sprint car driver. I'm okay with that. He's only 30 years old, so I think that's surprising in that regard that he's so young, but it sounds like Jacob's still going to be at the racetrack. He's just not going to be behind the seat of the race car. So good for him for making that decision and knowing when it's time to step out of the right, because I can tell you something, a lot of drivers don't know when it's time to step out of the seat.
When you have kids, that changes everything.
Sure. Your priorities change.
You don't want to get out there and get some head damage.
Now, a lot of drivers still have kids that are out there racing. But they can, some drivers can compartmentalize a lot of that stuff better than others. So to each his own. I'm going to say congratulations for Jacob Allen. He won the Gold Cup here a couple of years ago. I remember he won a preliminary race at the Nationals here a few years ago. He won some big races. So he did a lot of he made a lot of accomplishment driving a sprint car. But now he felt it was time for him to step out, and I'm glad he's still going to be around. This is another thing. When drivers retire from driving a race car, they don't want to be around the racetrack anymore. They want to go far away, but Jacob's still going to be around. So that's pretty unusual.
Right.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum gearing up next weekend. It's going to be a big weekend in Knoxville. The World of Outlaws is going to be up there Friday and Saturday night, but also the grand opening of the Dennis Olbaugh Suite Tower. This thing is about finished, Scott.
It is.
And that event will take place leading into the weekend. The Dennis Olbaugh Suite Tower looks just like the Brian Clausen Suite Tower, except it doesn't have the observation deck up on front. It sits on the opposite side.
I'm not sure
building.
of that, Kirk.
You think there is going to be a?
I think there is.
But anyway, we're looking forward to taking a look at it next weekend. And while you're there, check out all the great exhibits in the Hall of Fame. It changes all the time in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. And don't forget to sign up for the Corvette 2025 ZR1 with the ZTK Performance Package, Competition Yellow Corvette. And you can win this Corvette. All you have to do is go to winacorvette.org to get registered. They're going to draw for it the last day of the Knoxville Nationals. That's the deadline, the last day of the Knoxville Nationals. They're going to draw for it the week after that. So get signed up for that. Winacorvette.org. This is a beauty. 1,064 horsepower.
Right.
And it can be yours if you sign up. So National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum opens 7 days a week.
We don't want to forget Valley Speedway is going to be hosting the POWRi War opener tonight.
Yes, sir, and get there early because I think Hot Lap's about 5:30. Of course, they got a curfew there at Valley Speedway, Grain Valley. They'll get down early. You won't be there all night. So, but the Hot Laps are slated to get underway, I think, about 5:30 tonight. So, should be a big show with the non-wing sprint cars, POWRi War sprint cars.
All right, when we come back, Chase Rodman is going to join us here on Track Talk.
No, Wyatt Burks.
No, we're going to have Wyatt Burks on.
Wyatt Burks?
Yes, sir, live. We got a live interview coming up.
All right.
We're going to be talking to Wyatt about tonight's race out at Valley Speedway.
All right, we're going to be talking to Wyatt Burks. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Track Talk is brought to you by
Rod End Supply.
Right.
And the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints.
Kirk, I was up at 4:30 this morning.
You got up earlier than you wanted, didn't you?
I did.
It's hard to get back to sleep.
It's hard to get back to sleep when your girlfriend comes in at 4:30 in the morning.
I saw Todd out here yawning a little bit too here this morning.
Yep,
Both
I'm tired.
You guys are short on
I'm going
sleep.
back to bed as soon as I get out of here.
Yeah.
We
can take a nap.
You and I
afternoon.
both, Todd.
Yep, I need a nap today.
All right. All right, Track Talk is brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Wyatt Burks is going to join us next here on Track Talk.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
SSJ here for my roofing.
3 minutes, gentlemen. 3 minutes.
Finally, home and
Thanks,
business
man.
owners, you know what that means. If you've been putting off that much-needed roof repair or replacement, call Brian Donegan and his team at WeatherTech Renovations, 816-988-8957, or online at WTRenovations.com. Spring rains, wind, and hail can wreak havoc on your home as time goes on. WeatherTech Renovations will help protect your biggest investment, no matter what Mother Nature throws at us here in the Midwest. WeatherTech Renovations has advanced solutions for all kinds of roofs, residential and commercial. When we had extensive needs at the Sports Radio 810 Transmitter Building, we put Brian Donegan and his trusted team of experts to work for us. Call WeatherTech Renovations, 816-988-8957, or online at WTRenovations.com. WeatherTech Renovations, your shield against the storm.
Hang on, this is going to be a good one.
The fans of Kansas Speedway know how to have a good time. One that celebrates fantastic finishes.
Crash together, so close.
And family-friendly facilities. Trading paint.
We got beauty.
And tailgating tradition. Burnouts, beer, and barbecue. Oh, it'll for sure be a good time. And you are all invited. NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, May 9th through the 11th. Get your tickets now at KansasSpeedway.com.
Hi, this is Toby Tobin along with Jason Goodenkoff from Lewisburg Ford in Lewisburg, Kansas. Hi, Jason.
Hello, Toby.
Holy cow, you've done it again.
We've done it again, Toby. We won the President's Award again this year. This is the 22nd time we've been awarded this awesome honor from Ford Motor Company.
But what is the President's Award?
The President's Award is the top award Ford Motor Company gives its dealers for excellence in customer satisfaction in both sales and service and their sales penetration numbers. So we are super honored to have received this award for the 22nd time.
It covers the whole works at Lewisburg Ford.
Absolutely, and it's a testament to the awesome people we have working at Lewisburg Ford and helping our customers, and it really shows with this award because it's only a few dealers that get it, and we've done it 22 times.
I guarantee you this is the best place to buy a Ford car or truck in the Midwest.
Absolutely. You couple that President's Award lineage with our no-hassle Toby Tobin pricing, it does not get any better than that.
What is your toll-free number?
816-444-2300.
Or LewisburgFord.com.
Join Stephen St. John and Kansas Speedway at the Parkville Hy-Vee this Saturday from 10 until noon. The Kansas Speedway Pace Car will be on display, and everyone can register to win 4 tickets and 4 pre-race passes to the Sunday Advent Health 400 race in May. Hy-Vee is the official grocer of Kansas Speedway, and they have great deals on the groceries you need for yourself, your family, and the Easter holiday. Join SSJ and Kansas Speedway at the Parkville Hy-Vee this Saturday from 10 until noon.
Welcome back to Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Joining us now on the show is Wyatt Burks. Wyatt, tonight at Valley Speedway, I always say that Valley Speedway is one of the great racetracks around the country. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's kind of a hidden gem. It's kind of in the perfect location right outside of Kansas City, and it puts on some of the greatest races around the Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, if you take the track configuration, it is it works pretty good for these non-wing sprint cars, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's probably one of the best places we go to all year. I love going there. I can't seem to win there lately, but I definitely love going there, and hopefully we can pick up a win there tonight.
What's your best finish there?
I've won there back in like 2018 and stuff, but it's been since then since I've won. But we've ran second and third there a bunch with the MWRA and the WAR. Just can't get the monkey off our back, but hopefully tonight we'll be able to do that.
You were the final champion of the USAC Midwest Wingless Racing Association Championship last year. What are your thoughts about things coming together for these two organizations and pairing up with the POWRi Wingless Auto Racing Association? What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's great because if you notice, the car counts are dying the last couple of years with both series, and they needed to do something around here because it's not fun going to the racetrack and racing with 10, 12 cars. I enjoy going there racing with 20, 25 cars. It makes the night more enjoyable, and it's more more for the fans and spectators and all that, and I think it's huge for us, and they got a great guy backing the whole deal, Randy Powell at Wholesale Batteries. He's done a bunch for the non-wing scene around here. He's an awesome guy, and he's my biggest sponsor, and I can't thank him enough, and I think everybody will be very grateful for him this year, and hopefully it'll be a great year.
Man, that was a big deal with the Wholesale Batteries coming on board, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. He's a super nice guy, and he's all about doing stuff for the drivers, and he wants to get the fans involved. And like I said, if you ever never met the guy, he's super nice and great family, and he loves racing just as much as we all do. So it's great for us, and hopefully it continues on for our sport.
It's going to pay $1,500 to win tonight as well.
There's $2,000 in it.
Yeah, somebody put up some extra money, so I think it pays $2,000 to win tonight.
That's what I thought. Man, that's pretty awesome there. They added that money to the already big $1,500 purse. Schedule-wise, this is the one thing that I thought that the MWRA did a very good job of, is keeping the schedule close to a lot of guys didn't have to travel out long distances. It seems as though that Kenny Brown and Power Eye have kind of bought into, let's not get too aggressive with the schedule. I know you're going out of the area a couple of times this year, but the schedule looks still looks pretty appealing to you guys that work for a living, can't travel a long ways.
Yeah, they had a meeting this winter with all of us, and we kind of sat down and discussed it, and that's their big key point, is trying to keep it around the Midwest. Our team personally don't really mind traveling. We'll travel or we'll race around home, but I understand for some people, like, they want to race closer to home, and it's getting expensive, and I completely understand that. And yeah, I think the furthest we go this year with the schedule's Macon, and I don't even think it's a points race. They took it off as a points race. So, yeah, it's great. I think it's good to keep it around the local area of Kansas City, because there's a lot of race cars around the Kansas City area, and I feel like it kind of died off, and then the MWRA came back around, and it kind of picked back up the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, however many years it's been around.
Man, 20 years ago, non-wing sprint car racing was really dying off. It was dangerous. These cars have gotten a lot safer over the last 10, 15 years. I kind of attribute Jesse Hockett as kind of helped make it cool again back when he was doing his thing back in the day. But it really had a renaissance here about 15 years ago, didn't it? Because non-wing sprint car racing was nowhere to be seen about 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously when the TNT, I think it was, came around, that's when I remember watching non-wing around the Midwest. Obviously, I wish I would have been racing in it, because I think it paid really great and all that. But no, it definitely picked up a lot, especially when the war took over, and then Casey got involved with it and took it over, and then it really started to pick up around here. And then he kind of got out of it, and then the NWRA came around. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the next 3 or 4 years, what we have around here. But I think definitely them combining this year is a good start to better things in the future.
Jesse Hockett picked up that TNT win out there at Lakeside Speedway, didn't he?
Yeah, that was a big event too, right? When Mark Olson had the big non-wing event out at Lakeside Speedway, that helped grow it too around here, didn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I believe Jesse did pick that up, and I can't remember what it paid back then, but
I think it paid $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, that was a cool deal where they came through and traveled through I-80 and Lakeside and all them, and I wish we still had that happen, but maybe eventually in the future something like that will happen, where we can have like a sprint week or something throughout the Kansas City area.
Well, I've loved non-wing sprint car racing back when there was no wing sprint car racing at all. I learned to like it back in the old days at Knoxville. That was all non-wing sprint car racing. It was dangerous too. But the thing that's really appealing to me about watching non-wing sprint car racing versus the wing sprint car, which I like wing sprint car racing, is when you see the cars moving around on the racetrack and backing them in That's really exciting when non-wing sprint cars are really moving around, even though they might not go quite as fast as the wing cars. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, they're fun for sure. I've ran both, and personally, I think they both have pros and cons. It's the non-wing car, I feel like, puts more of the driver into the hands. It suits my driving style better. It suits our financial funds better and all that. And don't get me wrong, I love running a wing car too. It's a blast to get in a wing car and go out there and run as hard as you can and never lifting. And it's definitely a little scary feeling, but it's a blast too. I like them both, and I would love to run some wing stuff here and there, but for now, I'll keep focusing on my non-wing, and they're a blast. And like I said, they definitely hurt worse to wreck, that's for sure.
They're going to run the Valley E-Mods and the IMCA Mod Lights tonight
as support classes tonight.
Right.
Yeah. So are you running the same equipment you had last year? What's new about your team in 2025?
Yeah, we're running the same car, same motors, everything. We last year we started the year off on a car and we struggled, and I'd say last year was probably one of our worst years we've ever had. With results-wise, we just didn't run very well, and we went back to our old package at the end of the year and got back in the swing of things, and we're starting with it this year, and I'm looking forward to it and excited and ready to go try to win another championship.
Are you going to venture out on occasion and run with the USAC national sprint cars on occasion?
Yeah, we will. We're definitely going to go to Knoxville with them, and then we'll probably go out to Indiana maybe once or twice. We did that last year, too. We went out there a couple times. We went to Sprint Week, opening night of Sprint Week, and then we went to a weekly show at Paragon, and we'll go out to Indiana some. It's fun to get out there and enjoy a weekend out there. If it was closer, we'd just go race there all the time, but with it being 8-9 hour trip, it's hard to get off of work and be able to go race there, but it's fun, and I enjoy getting to go out there and spend some time out there during the summer.
Well, Wyatt, good luck to you tonight. Can't wait to see you out there racing tonight. Should have pretty good car count out there, I would think, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping we have about 25 cars, so it should be good, and I'm looking forward to it and ready for another season.
All right, thanks for coming on. Look forward to seeing you out at Valley Speedway tonight.
Thank you, guys.
There he is, Wyatt Burks, last year's MWRA champion. 5:30 hot laps. You can't make it out there. You can watch the racing on Start to Finish TV. We'll be carrying the live coverage, but I'd rather be there watching. Of course, it's close to the house, too. That's the best part about Valley Speedway for me.
Valley Speedway is a hop,
skip, and a jump.
Hop, skip, and a jump from
10 minutes from my home.
Right.
I love it.
10 minutes from your house.
So looking forward to that, and then we'll get home early enough, and we'll see what happens at Peevely and the late model races at Lucas Oil and Farmer City, and a lot of great racing going on today.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Hour number 2 is coming up.
Yeah, we got Chase Rodman, who is the voice of the High Limit Racing. We did an interview with him on Monday's Mostly Motorsports show. High Limit is off for the next couple of weeks. That's why you're seeing a lot of these High Limit guys at Peevely this weekend, and, of course, Knoxville. They should have pretty good car count next weekend. But I want to remind everybody that High Limit will be coming to Lakeside Speedway on May 9th, one night this year. And that's the same weekend that the NASCAR's in town, so look forward to that.
All right, thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We can't thank you enough for doing so. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Chase Rodman joins us next in hour number 2. We can't thank you enough for doing so. And
thanks to Jay Powers back at Sports Radio 810.
Thanks, Jay.
Todd Surprise, great job as always.
Appreciate it.
all right, thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you in hour number 2 coming up.
Exclusively on Racing Boys.
Right.
Say
End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types
Thanks,
of
my man.
products.
Appreciate it, bro.
Since 1989, Rod End Supply is
Hey, no problem. We'll do it again next week.
rock climbing or going off-road. Rod End Supply is an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Ring the
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply is an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
From the circle track to the drag strip to off-road racing, Rod End Supply has been keeping their customers at the front of the field since 1989. Whether you need rod ends, tubular rods, or specialty products, Bob Douglas and his Rod End Supply staff are always ready to help you with your needs. You can visit them on the web at rodendsupply.com or call them at 800-284-2902. That's 800-284-2902. Rod End Supply, keeping you at the front of the field.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sabres 33 RLP. Let's go take a tour. Coming into this animal, we're going to take a trip back here to the feature of this trailer, the deck. Check it out. It's awesome. It's 4 by 10 feet. You can dance on this thing. Boom! Check it out. It's pretty nice. And then coming to the back of this thing, you got a 75-inch TV. It's huge. 60-inch fireplace. It's nice and big, keep you warm. Then you got an ottoman that converts into a table, if you will. Maybe some TV trays. Then this hide-a-bed that I'm pointing at, it comes out and folds into like a king-size bed with storage in the corner for all your linens. Great little addition to the trailer. Your dinette, of course. Then you're gonna come around to the kitchen with the tic-toc sink. It's got the spritzer and the waterfall and all that stuff. Residential style refrigerator. It's got the microwave and the oven that's residential as well. Big old pantry over here with motion detected lights, coffee bar, and then coming up to the bedroom, you'll have the bathroom first, nice and spacious with a seat in it for them ladies. And then we got the king size bedroom with washer dryer hookup. I'm telling you, this is a home run for a couples coach. Come and see me, Kyle Walker.
Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
So we have a lot of folks come in interested in traveling for work. This is going to be a great option. Your Coachman Northern Spirit 2565 front kitchen. You have a nice wraparound full front kitchen here. Huge windows up top. Big 12-volt refrigerator. Lots of windows on the sides here. Great natural light coming in. You have your big TV over here on the swing arm bracket so you can kind of see it from any point in the room. Also have your bar stools here, sit and eat your breakfast. In the bedroom, you're going to have a king-size bed in the slide-out. Lots of storage underneath that. Washer, dryer, hookup. Tons of storage with the drawers. Then you got your full bath across the back. When it comes down to a camper that you can get for 6,500 pounds and be under 30 feet long, this is an absolute home run.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guide. You are listening to RacingBoys.com, and if you're not, I swear to you, get in your truck or do something, but get the hell out of this country, because you don't belong in it if you don't listen to these fellas.
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I want to give a shout out to Kelly, who's listening in from Central Point, Oregon.
A lot of good race fans out in Oregon. A lot of people don't realize just it's a pretty good racing state out there.
It is.
Isn't it? Is Cottage Grove Speedway, is that still open?
I don't know if it is or not, Kurt.
That was a good racetrack out there. Remember that. So, yep. Welcome to everybody that's tuned in here this morning.
I want to give a shout out to Marvin, who's listening in from Miamisburg, Ohio, as well.
You go. A lot of great Ohio race fans. Eldora Speedway in Ohio.
We got
one of our favorite tracks.
Mark Peer checking in from, what is it, Paradise, Missouri?
Yep.
So appreciate everybody tuning in.
I saw an interview with Tony Stewart online here this past week. 3 hours and 30 minutes with Tony Stewart. The Chaz interviewed Tony Stewart for 3.5 hours. And it is worth a listen, folks, because Tony talked about everything. And we even saw his
we called it, didn't we, Kurt? We called it on the parts.
About the Ford?
Yep.
Yeah, he said that it's a parts issue. They couldn't get parts for the Ford engines. Is why they're not running Ford engines in the Donnie Schatz number 15 for the rest of the year. It's not that they've given up on Ford. They're still committed to Ford, but it got to the point where they couldn't get parts for the engines, and that was going to be a big problem. So they knew it was going to be a problem before the beginning of the season because they'd gotten these Chevrolet motors together as a backup, thinking, okay, we got to do something as a backup here because we run out of parts. We don't have any engines. That's not good. And so they made the hard decision here a couple of weeks ago that they're going to put the Ford on the shelf for a little bit and go to the Chevrolet engines for the rest of the year. But it had nothing to do with the relationships they had with Ron Shaver and building the Ford engines. They were still pretty committed to it, but the parts shortages became a big issue, and that's why they put the Chevrolets back in the 15 car.
Kelly says it is the 70th anniversary of racing at Cottage Grove.
How about that? That track's been there a long time.
It's
70 years.
I've been there a couple times.
I know you have.
Yep.
Wow, that's an old racetrack. But it's cool. It's a cool track though, Cottage Grove Speedway. But anyway, Chevrolets in the number 15 car for the rest of the year. Donnie had a pretty good finish last night, didn't he? He was up there running up towards the front. But it sounds like Tony is still pretty committed to his race team. He says he's still pretty passionate about dirt racing, and I don't see any signs based on that conversation that he's willing to get out of sprint car racing anytime soon. And I think as long as Donnie wants to continue on doing what he's doing, they don't have Scuba anymore as the crew chief. Some different guys now working on the race car. But it's, to me, the 15 car is all about Donnie Schatz. He runs that team, and it's his baby. And Tony gives him the full support needed to operate that team. And I don't see Tony backing away from that anytime soon.
I don't either.
I don't see him selling Eldora Speedway anytime soon either.
No, I don't either.
And they even talked about refurbishing the ballroom at Eldora Speedway, which is kind of cool, and make that a hangout. So, you know, there's a lot. When the rains come at Eldora Speedway, and you experienced that at the Million and Kings Royal Weekend a couple of years ago, you got to have some place to go because you're out in the middle of the country somewhere. There needs to be a place you can go to hang out, waiting out rain delays. Because you know as well as I do, and Earl Balti started this long ago, we're going to get this show in, even if we've got to run the feature at 4 o'clock in the morning. So they can still do that out at Eldora Speedway. There are no curfews at Eldora Speedway. It's out in the country. So you got to have a place to hang out.
It's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So the old ballroom that Earl Balti's, that was big in Earl's world, that ballroom. They've taken out the false ceiling and made it hide the pit ceilings inside and refurbished the ballroom. And so that's going to be the big change at Eldora Speedway this year. The other thing they talked about on that interview, and by the way, the Chaz, great job with that interview, too. 3.5 hours. He did talk about, that weekend we went to the Million. That almost didn't happen. Because if you remember, they had put new dirt on that racetrack, and it just didn't work. They couldn't get it mixed in. So Tony was thinking we might have to pull the plug on this Million weekend because we don't have a dirt track we can race on. And so at that time, Jerry Gappens, who, God rest his soul, he's since passed away from then, they started working on that racetrack, and they scooped up all that dirt off the racetrack. And they called, Tony was up there in his office thinking, what am I going to do next? So I think we got this figured out. Come down here. And they already had a lot of the dirt scraped off the racetrack on the back straightaway heading into turn number 2. Mm-hmm. And they went to work. They worked all night getting that dirt scraped off that racetrack, and they were able to get a track together to run that weekend. You remember, it wasn't a perfect racetrack.
It wasn't a perfect racetrack.
But it was a raceable racetrack, and they got that show in because of the new dirt that they put on that racetrack just didn't work. But they were able to get that show in. But I didn't realize, I'm not sure you did either, that they were that close from pulling the plug on that Million weekend.
That would have been bad.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been good. Of course, we remember Logan Schuart winning the $1 million, and it started to rain after that. You stayed around. I headed back to Kansas City after the Million because somebody had to be here in the studio to do the show, and you hung out at Eldora, and it rained a ton right before the Kings Royal. I mean, it rained all day. And somehow they got the Kings Royal in that night. Donnie Schatz won that, by the way. Mm-hmm. And so that was pretty interesting hearing Tony talk about how close they were at pulling the plug on that whole weekend.
So, Chaz, he did a great job on that interview.
Yeah. You know Chaz. Wasn't he the announcer at Devil's Bowl for a while?
He was.
Yeah.
He was the announcer down at Devil's Bowl for a little bit.
Well, if you want to see, in my opinion, the best interview ever of Tony Stewart, check out the 3.5 hours that's online up there on YouTube and elsewhere, the Chaz interviewing Tony Stewart. It is worth a listen. And I sat there thinking, well, I'll watch a little bit of this. I found myself sitting there watching all 3 hours and 30 minutes of it. I couldn't put it down. It was that good.
Hey, what are we going to do first, Todd?
Probably run that Steve Post and get that finished up, and then we can round out everything. Since we won't have Chase Rodman on for a couple weeks, we'll probably play him last. That way.
All right.
Let's do it. So part 2 of Steve Post, who hosts Wing Nation every Tuesday. And also, he is one of the main pit reporters for NASCAR's coverage on the Motor Racing Network. More of Steve Post from our Mostly Motorsports show from earlier in the week. And what are the other big storylines that you have in your mind as we're just kind of getting started with the season so far? What's the big things that stick out in your mind in sprint car racing?
In the sprint car world?
Yes.
Yes. I think keeping an eye on this Ford engine program is fascinating. Donnie Schatz has pulled out of the program, and it's being managed by Ron Shaver, who's Donnie's guy. And then, but the Rudine team is with Justin Pecker staying fully committed to it. I think that's an interesting one, and I just what David Gravel is doing is just insane right now. I mean, finally we found someone who could get the upper hand on him. It's Mother Nature this weekend. My question is, and we'll know the answer as we roll through this season. My question is, are we witnessing one of those epic shots like Steve Kinser-like seasons? He's on pace to do it, but there's some good cars too. Carson Macedo and Buddy Kofoid and Logan Schuchart and Gio Scelzi have something to say about it. But right now we're on this run with David Gravel, and then obviously we get into April. It's when Knoxville kicks up, and we start to see more racing there, and in the Midwest, and get Mother Nature out of the way, and we can start to get a feel for what's going on. But I think the David Gravel story is fun to watch, and the Ford engine's really fascinating to see where we go with that one as this portion of the season unfolds.
I was a bit surprised about them announcing that they were no longer going to run the Ford engines in the Donnie Schatz 15 car. I was a little bit shocked by that because they'd invested quite a lot into that and really committed to it. Were you surprised?
Yes, I was surprised on it, but again, it's another one of those where you step back and take a look at it. What has changed in Tony Stewart's life in the last year? Okay, Tony Stewart
he's got
was
a kid,
co-owner of a Cup Series team that was a Ford operation.
Yeah.
Last year. That's gone. So I think some of those ties that bound them together are probably not in place anymore. No, that doesn't mean they're going to a Dodge engine. That's what Tony runs an NHRA. That doesn't mean that. But I just think that when Tony owned that Cup team, there were so many ties into that Ford engine, and I think I said right earlier on, Ron Shaver is Donnie's guy. So it's not a Ron Shaver thing, and there's also it might have been Ron I talked to about it. If it wasn't, it was Donnie. There's also challenges with the supply chain as well. So it's not a matter of there is a performance issue, no doubt about it. But one of the bigger challenges is there's a supply chain issue as well. And that makes it really difficult when you're fielding these cars. And so let's take a little bit of the stress. In fact, I talked to Ron about this at Trophy Cup last fall, and we're not out of the woods with supply chain issues for that Ford program as well. So I think it all comes together. You remove the tie that Tony Stewart has with Ford on the Cup side, and I think when I heard the announcement, I was surprised. But when you start to layer it up, it's like, all right, I guess maybe I could have seen this coming now.
And Donnie's got new guys working on his race car this year, too, so there's that change.
Yeah, they've changed everything up there. I mean, it was I was up at that shop. I was up at that shop in December, 2 days before PRI, and everything was normal. Scuba was there, though. I'm just like, by all the familiar faces, everyone was there. And about 3 weeks later, it just got totally shook up, and all kinds of changes up there. And I think that's part of a challenge. And throw in the fact that David Gravel, I'm not, you could be Brad Sweet on his A game, and the way David Gravel is running, he's putting the hurts on a lot of people, and that doesn't help where Donnie is or anybody else is on the World of Outlaw Tour either.
David Gravel has finished in the top 5 19 straight times, dating back to last year. And how many times has he been the number 1 qualifier this year? That really sets your night up when you qualify number 1, and Gravel's doing it just about every night.
It really is. I mean, this is a team, and I'm not shocked with Cody Jacobs. Cody Jacobs is crew chief, and you guys know as well as I do. Todd Quering, the team owner, they lack for nothing. Okay, they might have some problems. Money's not one of them. Okay, there are other teams. Money's not a problem either. So that's not to say that they're just buying their way, but or speed. Money buys speed, no doubt about it. But there's other guys that have a lot of money also, is what I'm saying there. But I just like the way that Cody Jacobs has gone about this. We need to have a good race car for the race, but we need to work on our qualifying. David, let's look at this qualifying setup. Let's work with Morrison Engines on our qualifying setup. And they have bullet point by bullet point worked on every aspect of this program and made sure they're good. They go to Volusia and run well. That's not a shocker. That's a big, high-speed half-mile track. That thing will eat on that racetrack. I mean, they will go on that racetrack. But then when they hit the little bull ring like Talladega and the Mag and places like that, man, they get that car dialed in. And I think they just – and again, this is Cody Jacob. David's doing a great job driving this race car. But Cody Jacob has got every detail of this race car buttoned up. And Kirk, to your point, qualifying is so critical, they've even got that buttoned up. And, boy, that sets your night up in really, really good shape, that's for sure.
The All-Star Circuit of Champions is back in business. They're opening up this weekend at Attica Raceway Park this Friday and Saturday night. What do you think about the All-Stars coming back in?
I love that the All-Star name is back. I hope that it's the All-Stars that we knew and loved. And I don't know the answer to that. And I know Rich Farmer, and, boy, I'm telling you what, if the All-Stars succeed, it's because Rich Farmer worked his guts out. If the All-Stars fail, the one thing you're going to say about it, it wasn't because of lack of effort. Because I'm telling you, Rich Farmer, he'll roll up his sleeves and dig. And so I'll be fascinated to see how it goes. You know, it's an interesting time we have with the 2 national tours, and then to have we have regional tours like IRA and King of the West and regional tours like that. The All-Stars were somewhere in between there. And it's going to be curious to see if they can maintain their spot somewhere, a step above IRA, a step above MOA, one step behind the World of Outlaws, one step behind High Limit, or if they become, comparable to the Fast Series, which is another one of those regional series. And just going to be interesting to see. I love that they start out at Attica. That's, if you're an Ohio-based sprint car program, you've got to start at Attica. That is the mainstay track. And again, this is one of those that they haven't had problems. Attica's had struggles getting races in. Hopefully, with the All-Stars, and we can get some weather going, and we can start to get a feel for what's going on up in Ohio, and get a feel for what's going on with the All-Star Circuit of Champions that's back now.
You know what Kenny Brown is doing with the POWRi 410 Sprint Car Series? They brought in a major sponsor this year, Honest Abe Roofing. They've got a pretty good list of drivers that we thought we were going to see them this past weekend at US 36 and Lake Ozark, but unfortunately Mother Nature threw a monkey wrench into that. But I like what Kenny Brown is doing with the POWRi 410 Sprint Car Series, especially with Honest Abe Roofing coming in as a major sponsor.
Kurt, I'm glad you mentioned that. I think about the historic ones, like IRA and MOA and King of the West, but what Kenny has done with POWRi is really good. I went to one of their races last year, and I love what they're doing. I talked to Brent Marks about it. Brent won one of his races down at Texas, and I just think he's filled a really good niche in an area that needed a niche filled. I mean, I think, there's overlay with MOA. There's obviously now a little overlay with the All-Stars, but I think that I think that what he's done and his lineup, his roster is impressive, very impressive. And, but it gives these Midwestern guys, it gives these Knoxville Saturday night guys, it gives these Houston Sunday night guys maybe a chance to go try some other places. And, maybe you run for points in that series, or maybe you just drop in for an extended weekend and go try something new. And what Kenny is doing with that Power Eye series is just really, really, really cool. And, and the fact that Honest Abe Roofing has come on board, that doesn't hurt you at all to have some funding and a point fund and those types of things that you can attract some good drivers. And they really have done that. And this is another one that we're going to be keeping an eye on as the season unfolds and how they fit into the sprint car ecosystem, if you will.
360s are still out there. The World Racing Group, when they purchased the ASCS from Emmett Hahn, they really had a great year last year. Very impressive with the lineup that they had and the racing season that they had with 360s. What is the future of 360 wing sprint car racing in your mind?
Well, I think it's better than it was a year ago.
Yeah.
It was in bad shape with just all of the things, and you guys know better than me. It was heartbreaking to see what happened with ASCS. And it was heartbreaking because we all knew and liked everyone involved. This wasn't there wasn't a bad guy here. There were just a lot of things that happened that caused it to collapse, and none of it was a bad guy at the top of it. So it just went in that direction, and it was sad. And so when Brian Carter and the World Racing Group came in and purchased it, last year was a late start. Man, they got started in February and March, and they're putting together schedules and races and tracks and everything. I'm anxious to see this year. They've got a really good list of drivers, and this to me is the year now. We survived last year. We were able to put a little bit of a foundation down. This is starting to build the house now. And let's see what they do. Some of the regional tours do really, really good. Their 360 regional tours do good, and so I'll be anxious to see. We've got a 360 tour. It's not ASCS, but USCS over here in the Carolinas and Georgia and the Deep South. And I'm telling you, Pete Walton puts 20, 25, 27, 30 cars on every Friday and Saturday night at these racetracks. So I think there's a place for 360 racing, and I think it's in really good hands now. The ASCS is with World Racing Group, and I'll be curious to see where it's at like 2 or 3 years down the road and what this looks like. I talked to there's a whole bunch of guys, the Blake Hahns, the Sam Hafertepe Juniors, the guys that want to go 410 racing. And what the World Racing Group did, it made a really difficult decision for them, because when things had gotten upside down with ASCS, it made their decision really easy to go 410 racing. Just very simple. That we didn't have really another good 360 option. This is really giving a lot of guys like that really good 360 options, and I'll be interested to see, where they fare and how they do.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was in a 360 car this weekend. He raced up there at Carolina Speedway on Friday night.
And he had a blast. I talked to him on Saturday morning, and I was. I started the conversation, and Scott and I were talking at the beginning, saying I'm trying to take Mondays off. The other factor that I've got going in my life, Kirk, is I'm getting old. We all are.
Yeah.
We're all getting old. And old Steve Post would have been at Carolina Speedway on Friday night and driven all night long, or driven till whenever I could to get down to Florence, South Carolina for Darlington. New Steve Post just went to the Darlington Hotel and watched a little bit on Race Monitor to see what was going on. I talked to Ricky. Carolina Speedway is not notorious for expediting shows. Pete Walton with USCS is not notorious for expediting shows. And sure enough, Ricky told me he pulled into the motor coach lot at Darlington Raceway at 3:15 a.m. Ricky is a whole lot younger than me and has a motor coach right at the racetrack. There was none of that on the menu for me, but he really, really had a good time and was good. He's going to run a couple of weeks when NASCAR's at Talladega. USCS is at the Talladega short track, and he's going to run there, and look forward to catching up with him there and watching him sling a little mud around there at Talladega short track.
Is he going to run a high limit car, maybe at Texas or Lakeside, or is he all World Outlaws?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. He ran some high-limit races a couple of years ago, but Ricky's problem, and we've talked about this, he doesn't want to go if he's not competitive.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure he feels, although I was at one of the high-limit shows, and I've watched a number of them, he gets around a racetrack pretty good. One of the problems is, boy, I'm telling you, and you guys see it, the speed right now in 410 sprint car racing is ridiculous. They've become jet fighter pilots with these cars, the way they go around the racetrack. And Ricky's always been like, I need a few 360 races under my belt before I'll make the decision, if I feel like I'm good enough to jump into a 410. So, after we get done with Talladega, that'll give him a couple more nights of running 360s. We'll see where he's at. I'm not sure where they're at, Stenhouse Marshall Racing, where they're at car-wise, motor program-wise, where Ricky and his dad are with motors and stuff. But Ricky has always been one that's very cautious to jump in because he respects the skill set of all those 410 drivers and respects himself and doesn't want to put himself or any of the other drivers in a bad spot.
Steve Post, you can watch his Wing Nation show every Tuesday, I believe it is. And, of course, we'll see him out here at Kansas Speedway here in a few weeks with the Motor Racing Network. Good guy. Been a while since we had him on. Hey, I was going to mention the ASCS National Tour will swing back into action tonight at the Salina High Banks down in Oklahoma. They came out with their list of 17 drivers that are going to be full-timers on the ASCS National Tour, and one of those is Harley White. Yes, Harley White is back running full-time with the ASCS National Tour, going to be driving her 17W car. So that's kind of
That'd
cool.
be good to see Harley out there again.
Who are the other full-timers? Well, it's last year's champion Seth Bergman, five-time champion Sam Haperteep Jr., former champion Blake Hahn, Jason Martin, Matt Covington, Landon Britt, Terry Easom, Kyler Johnson, Anthony Gosel, Bradley Fazzard, Casey Willis, Ryder LaPlante, Brady Baker, Garrett Benson, and Brogan Carter. Those are the 17 that are going to be full-time. It's a pretty good list of drivers, don't you think?
Yep. That's a pretty good list of drivers.
So we'll be watching that event down there at Salina High Banks tonight. Dirt Vision will be all over that this year with the ASCS National Tour. If you'd like Wing Sprint Car 360 racing, that's where it's at.
I was raised on ASCS National Tour racing.
I kind of like what they're doing here with this tour. The World Racing Group stepped in and took this thing over, and
they're doing a good job with it.
Yeah, you got Lonnie Wheatley and some other folks in there kind of running things. That got Blake Hahn back on the tour and Harley White. Yeah, pretty good group of drivers there in the ASCS National Tour. So that's kind of cool. So tonight,
the World Racing Group has done a great job with that series.
All the racing out in Pennsylvania has been wiped out this weekend. Bad weather out in PA. Last night's races at Williams Grove were rained out. Tonight, Lincoln Speedway, Port Royal, all rained out. The postman was talking. We were talking about the All-Star Series. They were supposed to open up this weekend at Attica. That was called off here a couple of days ago. And so east of here, the weather not so good. Is it supposed to warm up today? I was wondering. I haven't checked the temperature forecast.
It'll be hot this weekend.
It is, but it is. What's tonight going to be like out at
It's
Valley
supposed to be
Speedway?
84 tomorrow.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 70s out there today. So.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think
I walked out of the house this morning. It was like 42 degrees, and I'm thinking to myself, it's going to be cold out at the racetrack tonight. But maybe maybe not. It's going to warm up.
73 today.
73 today.
I like that.
So,
but no chance of rain.
Oh no,
today.
no rain until looks like next weekend.
Oh, don't say that.
They're talking about Monday. a chance of rain.
Yeah, but they're looking at Saturday, Sunday, and maybe next weekend too.
Next weekend?
But that's a full week away. You know what I mean?
Of course, we're thinking about Knoxville next weekend.
Yeah, that's. I'm looking at Gladstone weather, so I'm not really.
Let's get Friday and Saturday night in at Knoxville. Let's do that.
So, who you guys picking for your NASCAR picks this week?
Well,
it's at Bristol, right?
It's Bristol, baby.
Bristol, baby. I'm going with Kyle Larson and Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney's it's got to be his weekend, right?
Yep.
I mean, how much can go wrong that's not his fault?
It's just like you said. I was gonna pick Blaney as but I'm backing off. Is that because I've done it too many times to him already? I think I've had him picked.
He's had a fast enough race car.
You jinxed him a few times.
I've got him jinxed. So yeah, he's had a fast enough car. The odds, we're looking at the odds are right there on the screen for you. Larson's your betting favorite. Denny Hamlin comes in pretty much tied with Larson. So
you know who I'm going to go with? C-Bell.
Yeah, C-Bell's just a little bit outside that there. So you have Larson and Hamlin tied. Bell is in your next. Blaney, Byron, Elliott, and Busch. Logano.
Chase Elliott. It's not a bad pick either.
That's right.
Tyler Reddick.
Yep. And Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe, and Chris Buescher kind of round out your top 10. And
Chris Buescher won the night race there a couple of years ago.
Sure did. So my picks are going to be Larson and Blaney. Scott, who you got today for tomorrow?
I'm going to take C-Bell and Kyle Larson.
All right.
Denny Hamlin, can he win his third in a row? It's possible.
Who you taking, Kirk Elliott?
I got last week right.
You did.
Denny Hamlin.
You did.
I'm going to go with. I'm going to pick somebody off the wall here.
There's some more odds for you down there.
I am going to go with William Byron. That's not off the wall though, but that's my pick.
And who would be your backup pick in case something blows out on old Byron?
Ryan Blaney.
Blaney. That's me and you.
There
have
we
Blaney.
go. Those are now. I'm going to fail at those picks. I'll bet you.
So for picks for Racing Boys at Bristol this week, Todd's got Kyle Larson and Blaney. Scott Traylor has Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson, and Kirk Elliott, Byron, and Blaney. So
there we go. Mark it down.
We got it marked down.
And we're not like most people. We'll talk about if we're wrong.
That's right. Like
Monday.
like you said last week, I had Byron and Blaney last week. So, like you said, we've been keeping a running total here. I got the sheet. We'll have it here every week. We tried to. One week we forgot the week with at Florida. So
most people who make picks want you to forget about.
Oh yeah, no, that's not part of the show.
Bolivar's for sale or lease. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
Yep.
Is it still is it a dirt track
it's
now,
a
or
dirt
is it a
track.
pavement track?
It's a dirt track.
Of course, at one time it used to be a pavement track. I've only been to Bolivar one time in my life. Went there when it was dirt one time. You've been there a few times, though.
I've been there a couple
times. You
times.
raced there a couple times, did you not?
I did.
I didn't even know it was still sitting there. I haven't heard about Bolivar Speedway for several years now. Has it just been sitting there growing weeds, or what's been going on with it? Have they been racing at Bolivar Speedway? I haven't heard.
Well,
Marie said they had snow in Jersey. How about that?
Wow. It's wintertime still out in the Northeast.
Would you lease Bolivar Speedway?
No, I would not. Or else I wouldn't lease any racetrack. I wouldn't run any racetrack.
Why not?
I don't know. Too much uncertainty running racetracks right now.
Knoxville is a guaranteed slam dunk.
Slam dunk in what way? What do you mean by that?
It's guaranteed to pull in some a good crowd.
Oh yeah. Next weekend's going to be a great show. They're going to get a lot of race cars up there, and should be a good crowd if the weather cooperates. So let's hope, keep fingers crossed, we got good weather next weekend in Knoxville. No, I'm looking at this new owner at I-55 Speedway. Now, that's the kind of passion you want out of a racetrack owner. Josh Carroll is the new owner of I-55 Federated Auto Parts Speedway, and he's gone in there, and they have made a lot of improvements already, and they've reshaped the racetrack back to the way it used to be, and they slicked that racetrack off last night. Some people thought it was going to rubber down, but it did not, and we saw more slide jobs in a night of racing than we've seen in a long time, and it was entertaining as hell. And so you got to have that kind of a passion to really do well with these racetracks, and Josh Carroll is showing it right now at Federated Auto Parts I-55 Speedway. So congratulations to them. I can't wait to see the races tonight, because if it's anything like we saw last night, it's worth going to buy a ticket to go watch. That is for sure. So anyway, would I want to go buy a racetrack somewhere? Not at my age. I'll be 69 next month. You got to be young to do this stuff, Scott.
Right.
You know, and it's not for the faint of heart, owning and running racetracks. And if you think this is just an exercise, you can go in there and just rake the money in. That doesn't work that way. You got to live it. You got to breathe it, and it takes a lot of time and effort to operate a racetrack.
They pulled down our sign at Lakeside Speedway.
Oh, they did.
Yep.
Now, why is that?
I'm not sure why they did it.
I know that ain't the only sign that got taken down out there.
There's many signs taken down.
Miss Lisa Burlington had her sign taken down out of the track, too.
Why is that?
I guess she's not the track photographer no more out there. I don't know.
She was down there last night.
I know she was there. I just know that there's been some rumblings out there about that. I think they have a new track photographer out there, from what I've been hearing.
Even though Lisa Burlington was at the track last night?
Yeah, I think she can still shoot photos, but I don't think she's the official. But, yeah, I saw a few signs were missing out there. So,
But no Racing Boys banner anymore.
No Racing Boys banner.
Well,
we need to do a trade with them.
Well, you're the man to work that out.
We used to have one out at Kansas Speedway, too. Remember back in the day? We had a Racing Boy banner out.
Is Ralph Palmer still the general manager there at Lakeside?
No, I don't think he
Don
is.
Mars still owns the track, though.
He owns the track.
Was Don racing out there last night?
He was.
Yeah?
He won his heat race.
Of course, that's why he bought the track, so he could race
He was
out.
driving the 20 car last night.
Oh, he was?
Yep. Not the number 9.
Yeah, we'll get out there here in the next few weeks and talk to Don out there, which, by the way, Don is a nice guy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Don's awesome.
Hey, Kirk, Chase Rodman coming up next.
Let's do it. Chase Rodman, the voice of High Limit Racing, joined us on Mostly Motorsports earlier this week, and here's a little bit of that conversation. So let's talk about the High Limit Racing so far in 2025. We've had, of course, Brad Sweet is the points leader here early in the season. No surprise about that. But what about Casey Kane with 2 second-place finishes now? Casey Kane Motorsports, without Eric Pretzer, seems to be doing pretty well. Ty Wolfgang, the crew chief for Brad Sweet, and you got Casey Kane running second, not once but twice right now so far.
Yeah, it's been pretty impressive, especially considering that, going into the year, we thought that Casey was going to have Eric Prutzman, and then right before the first race, that all went sideways, and it's kind of been crew chief by committee over there between Casey and the crew guys, Andrew Bowman and can't remember the other guy's name off the top of my head at the moment, but it's been kind of a group effort over there, and Casey, from what I've been told, has been going to the car wash with those guys after the race and being a lot more hands-on. I don't know if that's been contributing to the success or what, but been very, very impressive to see what he's been able to do with 2 second-place runs. I think he's got another top 10 or 2 maybe as well, sitting up there, I want to say 6th or 7th in points. So looking pretty damn good. And, I think going into the year, a lot of people maybe had him, as maybe a guy that could get his first ever national touring win. And then once the Prutzman news came out, they probably thought, well, maybe not this year. And now all of a sudden he's looking like it might still happen.
Aaron Reutzel posted a couple of finishes so far, and that was after he got hit in the face with a rock or something like that. But Reutzel, full-time out on the high limit racing, is off to a very good start with Rich and Sons.
Yeah, you wish you could have seen what would have happened if that didn't happen as far as the points go, because he was going to be starting, if that didn't happen, he was going to be starting in front of Brad. I think Brad that night was going to start 12th or 11th or something, and Reutzel was going to be in the top 5 for the feature as far as the starting position goes. And then, of course, he gets knocked out by a rock. And
Hello? Did we lose connection?
77 behind now, 3rd in points with 2 wins. He's certainly been probably the second best car out there so far this year between him and Brad. And then, a little ways back is Tyler Courtney and Brent Marks, and then a little bit ways back behind them is probably Rico and Justin Peck maybe. So, Reutzel's been a welcome addition, an addition that we knew was going to be very, very good for the series so far, and it's certainly looking that way early on.
Hey, do you think Tyler Courtney's got a chance to surpass Brad Sweet?
At this point, I don't know. It's not looking good. I don't think they've shown winning speed quite yet in that 7 car. And they're already, I can't remember the exact points off the top of my head, but maybe 50 or 60 behind. To me, like I said, I think the best car besides Brad is Aaron Reutzel, and Reutzel's already almost caught up to Sunshine for 2nd in points. I think that if anybody's going to beat Brad this year, it's going to be Reutzel as of right now. And obviously, when we get back to racing next month, Reutzel's going to be going to a lot of tracks that he's had success at, and he's been to a lot. So I would, if I was a betting guy, I think right now the person that could take down Brad, which it would be quite the effort as of now, because he's already got a pretty good point lead, then in my opinion, it's got to be Reutzel in that 87 car.
Rico got hurt out there in Australia and had to have surgery done. What was it, on his wrist or something? Is he still feeling the after effects of that right now?
I don't think he is. I think that everything's, back to normal with that. I think he's fine. It's just I don't know, man. It was kind of the same situation last year. He got off to a really slow start. They didn't get a win until I want to say it was like 17 races into the year, and obviously they were probably one of the best cars, if not the best car on tour at the end of last year. Getting the Tuscarora 50, getting the Skagit win, just running the top 3 a bunch on the West Coast swing. They were really good at the end of last year, but it just seems like they cannot get going at the beginning of the year. It takes them a couple of races to get going. I think that maybe they're regretting not going to Volusia at all to kind of get going, or going to those other early season races for the Outlaws to maybe shake that rust off. And it's certainly, affecting him right now, as he's pretty far down the order in points, hasn't won a race yet. And I don't know if he's even gotten the podium yet. I'd have to check back and look. He's had some speed here and there, but not quite what we saw at the end of 2024.
How about some of these guys that surprised so far this year with great finishes? Caleb Montgomery out there, where did he come from?
Yeah, at the end of last year, he was fast. I don't know what he got figured out or what's going on there, but something at the end of last year was starting to click. I think he got a top 10 against the Outlaws when they ran out there, and that kind of started things off for him. And then all of a sudden, High Limit comes out there. He runs, I want to say 13th or something, 11th at Vegas, which, might not sound like a spectacular run to some people, but for a guy that had never seen a half mile before, that's pretty impressive for him just to make the show. And then we go to, Tulare, he runs decent there. We go to Kern, he runs decent again. And then obviously Paris gets that top 5. Things didn't go his way maybe at Arizona, made the show both nights, I think, but he's certainly been one of the biggest surprises to open up the season, along with the other, West Coast guy, that being Tanner Holmes, who has been spectacular in that Tarleton 21. They got a win at Silver Dollar early on in the year, and then a couple top fives, and contended for the win at Paris before he lost a tire.
So the rookie battle, some of these guys that are racing for Rookie of the Year are off to a pretty rocky start right now. I'm sure they'll get it together. I mean, pretty talented group of rookies this year. I mean, you got Dason Persley and Chase Randall, some of these other guys. You got to figure that they're going to get it together and really become a big factor before it's all said and done, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, it's kind of been an interesting story to watch all four of them, with Danny Sams and Cy Lynch in there as well. They, it just seems like one night one of the rookies will go really good, and the next night he'll go bad, and then, kind of flip-flops the next race. And that's kind of what we were expecting. I don't think that many people were expecting a Buddy Kofoid-type rookie season from these guys, and they've had their ups and downs. Specifically, Cy Lynch, man, he's had a lot of ups, but he just has not had any ups in the main event. Made the dash at Kern, made the dash at Tulare, but he has not ran inside the top 20, or he's ran, I want to say his best finish is 20th all year with High Limit so far. It's definitely not been a very good start, and I think that he is welcoming this 3-week break to kind of reset and get things back in order before we get back to it in May. But, him and then Danny Sams has had some solid runs, a couple top 15s here and there. And he's also another guy that hasn't seen a track that he's seen twice before, right? He's been to a bunch of new places so far. And I think that those guys were kind of expecting to be a little bit out to lunch at some of they's tracks that, they've never seen before. But he's held in there. I think he's only been in maybe one wreck so far. He's been able to roll it back in the box for the most part, So, but Chase Randall and Dason Persley, to me, have stood out as far as, guys that have speed contending in the top 10. I think that one of those guys, if not both of them, might be able to get themselves a win by the end of the year. Dason Persley, coming into this year, less than 30 career 410 wing sprint car starts. And, he ran a couple races in a row there where he couldn't even get past the first lap. But then at Central Arizona Raceway, you could tell that the talent is there, the ability is there. It's just he needs to get that experience under his belt. And I think by the end of the year, they're going to be really good.
Jacob Allen decided he's going to step out of the race car, retired. Are you surprised about that? I'm not. So what are your thoughts about Jacob Allen no longer going to drive a sprint car at 30 years old?
I think the only thing that kind of surprised me was that, it happened right here at the beginning of the year. And I don't know if that had something to do with that wreck that he had at Lincoln or what, but I thought, I'm not surprised by it because, we've seen him in the last couple of years, take some time off here and there, and there was always rumblings every year that, maybe he was going to call it a career. I thought maybe he would finish out this season and then maybe, call it, but only ran about 8 or 9 races and decided that was it. So, it definitely sucks because he's one of the best personalities, one of the best dudes we've got in the entire sport. But what I like to see is that they're going to keep that car going. It's not like the car is going away. We're still going to have a really, really good car out there on the track competing. And from what I've been told, the driver that they're given an opportunity to, it's not like this guy's got a bunch of money. He's bringing money to the table or anything like that. He's a guy that deserves the opportunity. And when it gets announced, I'm excited to see what the fans are thinking about it, and excited to see what kind of results they can put up here, because Jacob is still going to be at the track every race. He's going to be basically the crew chief of the car. He's going to be down in the work area helping fix the car. So he's still going to be heavily involved at the racetrack a lot. So we're still going to get to see him, still going to hear from him quite a bit. But as far as the driving aspect goes, that's done as of now. So definitely surprised it happened right now, not surprised that it happened overall.
So when are they going to make this announcement of the driver?
Well, I've been told that they're supposed to be racing this coming weekend, either at I-55 with the Outlaws or somewhere in PA. And I've been told that it should be announced this week at some point, right? I mean, it's either going to be this week or it's going to be Friday when they show up to the pit area for whatever race they're at. But hopefully it's, in the next couple of days, I know the driver. I've been talking to him. I don't want to, Dirt Tracker mentioned who it was, but I don't want to be on here, spewing who it is. But I was talking to the driver yesterday, and it sounds like it should be out here in the next 2 or 3 days, hopefully.
All right, we won't get you in any kind of trouble, but we know who the driver is anyway. So that's that.
And it's a weird situation for me because, I don't know if I want to say the word deal with them, but like I am in the trenches with these guys at every rate all the time, right? I see them all the time, and I don't want to be on their bad side for, letting information out that, it's not my business doing, and like if I was somebody that just sat at their house all the time and didn't go to any of the races, then I'd feel a lot more comfortable doing it. But, when you see them, you talk to them, you deal with them a lot, you want to try and stay on everybody's good side. So just not my news to be, breaking, I guess.
Hey, you mentioned Aaron Reutzel. Do you think that he's got a chance to win this championship because he's won 2 races this year and he's got 4 top 10s? He's ran 6 features. Do you think he's got a chance?
It's going to be hard, though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, I think he's the next best car to Brad.
Yeah.
It's just, 77 points this early in the year is, it's still a long ways to go, right? But
right.
It's a lot to make up on a guy like Brad Sweet. So I think he has the speed and the car and the ability to do it. It's just he's so far behind. Like, we've seen this story play out the last 5 or 6 years. He's going to need a DNF or something or go on a really hot streak to make it happen. Do I want to see it happen? Of course. I want to see a really good championship battle. I want to see somebody upset, Brad Sweet and in the dominance that he's put up. But as of right now, I think it's very, very hard to do that when you're so far behind already.
And Brad Sweet seems to be running as good as he ever has right now. That's for
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, so Texarkana 67 Speedway, April 30th, Texas Motor Speedway. You're going to be there as the NASCAR Cup weekend, May 1st and 3rd, and then we'll see 81 Speedway May 7th and Lakeside Speedway. We can't wait for that coming up on May the 9th.
Hey, Brad Sweet is probably the best point racer there is, isn't there?
Oh, no question.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Kirk just said. There's no doubt about it, man. Sure, gravel's killing them in the Outlaws right now, but I'd like to see what would happen if Brad was still over there, just to see if David would, let's just say in a different universe, Brad wins the High Limit Championship last year and then goes back to the Outlaws this year after David won the championship. What would that look like? Would David be still a little bit flustered, having to deal with Brad every race? I think that the answer would be yes. And I'd like to see how it would go because David's only won 1 championship, right? And it looks like he's well on his way to a second, but Brad's done it 6 years in a row now and has no signs of slowing down. So to me, he's still the best. But in a alternate universe, I would like to see them face off against each other now that David does have a championship.
Yeah, that would be fun to watch. Ty Wolfgang getting it done over there, isn't he?
He is, yeah, and he's done a lot better than I thought he would here early in the year. Now, I am curious to see how it goes when we get to next month when, we're racing almost every 2 days or so throughout the entire month, how it's going to go for him there. But the other thing is, Brad is just so good at just, he knows the cars, too. He knows how to work on them. He knows what the car needs and what to do to the car to make it better, right? So it's almost like having a second crew chief on the car, and the one crew chief is also a driver. And I think Brad is good enough as a driver to take a car that maybe isn't handling the best and still go out there and contend for a top 5 and contend for a win, So he's just he's at the top of his game, man. And we've seen it with Donnie before, right? When you're at the top of your game, it usually seems to last for quite a long time.
We know Chase Rodman brings up a good point there that Brad Sweet knows these race cars. There's a lot of drivers that
he's a very good point racer.
Yeah, but beyond that, does it really matter who his crew chief is? Because Brad is so clued in on the setups of the race cars himself. I mean, it's kind of like Ricky Thornton Jr. in the late models, Frank. Does it really matter who RTJ's crew chief is? Doesn't seem to matter because Ricky Thornton Jr. knows how to work on the race cars. And that's the important thing about those two guys right there that, a lot of focus is placed on who the crew chief is. But when you have drivers that are on top of the setups of the race cars and even makes the calls on the setups of the race cars, which I think Brad Sweet does, and Ricky Thornton Jr., when it doesn't matter who his crew chief is on the late model side, these guys that know the race cars and know the setups of the race cars, I think have an advantage. Remember Sammy Swindell?
Yep.
They had no crew chief on Sammy Swindell. He's the crew chief.
He is the crew chief.
He's the guy. And those kind of drivers are getting more fewer and far between these days.
Ralph Palmer still the general manager out at Lakeside Speedway.
There he is. So, hey, a couple of notes. The Mini Gold Cup is going on out at Chico, California tonight. That is a NARC King of the West race. And Flow Racing will have that coverage. They've got the CRA sprint cars out at Central Arizona Speedway this weekend. Last night, Ricky Lewis won the opening night of the USAC CRA sprint cars. We'll do it again out at Central Arizona tonight. So it looks like the weather's okay out west. Not so much in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. Not so much. Weather not very good out there. In Ohio, Attica, we talked about, called their weekend off. But it looks like we're in pretty good shape around here tonight, right? In the Midwest, weather good?
It's going to be 73 today and 84 tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, that's hot. 84 tomorrow. But keep your fingers crossed for next weekend. Let's keep the weather going for Knoxville next weekend.
Right.
So a lot of racing to watch tonight on both Flow, Dirt Vision. We've got USMTS Modifieds raced up at the Hamilton County Speedway in Webster City, Iowa last night. Rodney Sanders picked up the victory up there if you want to watch that. Racing Dirt's got that coverage. They've also got the coverage of the Heartland Modified Tour at I-35 Speedway tonight. We'll see if Shadron Turner can do it again after his victory at Electric City Speedway in Butler last night.
Chris Yant says 91 yesterday in Dodge City.
Wow.
How about
that? So
that?
It's coming this way. Too bad they didn't get that high-limit race at Dodge City in last weekend.
Right.
Everything got rained out a weekend ago.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. We can't thank our guests enough, Steve Post, Chase Rodman, and Wyatt Burks.
We'll be here Monday. Who the guests are, we don't know yet, but we'll be here with a couple of guests on Monday, 12 noon. We'll be streaming that live.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. We can't thank you enough for doing so. We appreciate it. 25 years Kirk and I have been together. Todd's been together with us for 12 years. You know, somebody asked me last night, Todd, how many years you've been with us?
12 years.
12 years.
12 years.
So that would be
Can you
about
imagine that?
Nope.
half the time you and I have been together.
That's right.
Which is a lot. That's a lot.
Right.
Todd, we thank you for putting up with us.
I appreciate you guys putting up with me. We all come with our quirks and balances, right? So
right.
We appreciate everybody tuning in, and I appreciate all the kind words that everybody always reaches out to us, and we got some good fans out there. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Thanks everybody for tuning in. For Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.